Welcome back. It's really long time ago I read about United States. I have not give up my project, but I'm just tired and sleepy every day. And I play a computer game like 2 months. Play called Cities Skyline as city builder game. And I'm driving a American truck simulator. I'm reading about fighter jets, and I'm out of money every month. I'm out of money and low on money, so I'm not really in mood for much. I just spent many hours writing over. I have opened like 1,000 web pages. So I'm sitting open all this. I have few open. Because I have like 500 web page open, could be like 180 or 90. So 500, that's all the way from there to my table. So I still have, was about 480. So I still have something like this. So I have to write, but I have this open. Immigration and stuff because of this Trump government, Trump administration. They are talking a lot of immigration and illegal immigration. They have something they call sanctuary cities in the United States. I think that's like New York. That's a city if you're illegal immigrant, and if you stay like New York City. The federal immigration cannot pick you up and kick you out of USA. So these sanctuary cities, they're kind of a safe space, safe haven, safe space for illegal immigrant. I think it's Los Angeles. I don't know which city. So that's why so many illegal immigrants go to New York. But of course I understand that USA don't like to have millions of illegal immigrants from like Mexico and South America and make a lot of crime. They're gang members that do really drug crimes. They do really and murder and all kind of crazy stuff. Of course I understand they don't like this kind of people in the country. No country like to have this kind of people as immigrant. But of course you cannot just travel to United States and just stay there and work and pay no taxes. So I'll read about that, but there's so much else I like to read about. The rivers, Finger Lakes. So that's so many stuff. All this I write down 10 papers, and I need 10 more papers. So that's actually some I like to read. All this national United States, of course we need to read about this. But I have to close it down because this computer is super old. So I now write everything down, all this many papers. I have sit many hours every day, but I do a little bit every day because I'm sleepy and tired every day. And I have more empty papers. I just continue, so I've been doing that, and now I like to read this, and I like to reading and relax and learning something new. But I was reading about the fighter jets. I was reading about the F-14. I do this paper. I have all kind of weird papers. I have a mountain of papers. That's my fighter jet, my aircraft. I already read all this. F-15, F-16, F-18, Super Hornet, F-22, Eurofighter Tycoon, and of course F-35. That's my country, Denmark. I need to read this. That's some old fighter jets. I'm going to read all this. That's some aircraft. I read this. All kind of passengers. That's my USA summer. This one I have read. This I have open somewhere, so everything is a big mess. But I did read all this. That's Turkey, Alanya, so everything is a big mess. That's some random stuff. So every paper, and that's my airline, Dallas. So that's a computer game called Airline Sim. That's my aircraft paper. Actually, I need to make a cover. I need to put it like this. No, that's a computer game I'm playing. That's my hub in Tampa. I'm expanding my hub. So I have all kind of weird papers. That's another airline I have. Of course, this one is on the stock market. That's my airline sim game. Well, that's the one here. My Dallas Airways is a holding company, and I made a new airline called I own 80% of the stock. This South US Airways in Phoenix, and I have to read and own 80% of my own stocks. You can look at stock market. Of course, this server have a stock market. So that's me, Dallas Airways. I have 80%, and that's the other one I just put on the stock market, but that's only a few weeks. This server is 10 years old. You can trade it, but they're not many play this, because this server is super old. Nobody sells the stocks. But that's I own 80% of this South US Airways in Phoenix. I have to read about Phoenix City, of course, and Arizona and airport. So they have nothing to do, but that's something to do about United States, because I live cities. I like to read about some of the cities. Chicago, O'Hare Airport, Seattle, Indianapolis. There's some super large cities. I like to read about New Orleans, Dallas, Hawaii, Honolulu, Texas, Salt Lake City, all this San Francisco, Washington, and all these big airports. So I'm flying in, and I'm getting this Microsoft Flight Simulator in the future. I hope to get the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So I will fly around in the United States, of course. So let's read about this. And some have open, some I will not put commercial on. I have this open. Illegal immigration, United States immigration, H-1B visa, working visa. Ukraine, all countries. I have white Americans I like to read about. White Americans like the Trump government. It's mostly white people, that's African Americans. Native Americans like the Indians, Hispanic, Latinos, and LGBT. This one I not put the commercial on YouTube because this is a sensitive subject for many people, so I have a commercial on my videos. I'm getting YouTube money every month, not so much. I get about $400. So, and you cannot put commercial on some super sensitive subject like abortion and all this stuff. This one I not put take commercial of my video. That's in a gay bar, Stonewall. I think I not put the commercial on. That's a famous gay bar in New York, and I'm not gay. I like a woman. That's called Finger Lakes. That's the area I would like to go in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Go and look this lakes. You can take a flight looking at all these lakes. So that's I like to read about. And rivers, Mohawk River. It's a long river in New York State, I think. Mohawk River, that's the Hudson River go to New York. That's the Mohawk River property. This Finger Lakes is up here. And going to read about the Hudson River. So they had some big rivers. And Hudson River, I think, I don't know if I have read about it, maybe I did. But let's start reading, and my electric fan will not spin down. So this electric fan making a lot of noise. But I will buy my debt is, I paid down my debt like more than 9 years. So I will, in the next many months, I will start to have some more money. I will buy a new, but I need to have a saving on my bank account. I need to have a few $1,000s in my bank account for my rent apartment, my bills and food. So I'm not just spending all my money to a gamer computer. I not even have $1,000 in my saving. So I have all kind of problems every month. This is why I'm not reading a few months. So let's read this today. I think New York, Los Angeles. So, but I don't know if they have a list. Which city is the red one? Have Bennett. Los Angeles, that's like New York, California, Washington State. California, Florida, have Bennett, Georgia. So let's read about it.
Sanctuary City. not to be confused with cities of refuge. City of Sanctuary redirects here. For the British charity, see City of Sanctuary, UK. A sanctuary city is a municipality that limits or denies its cooperation with the national government in enforcing immigration law. Proponents of sanctuary cities cite motives such as reducing the fear of persons which illegally immigrated from deportation, separation of immigrant families, reporting crimes, using health and social services, and enrolling their children into a school. Opponents of sanctuary cities argue that they undermine the rule of law by not cooperating with federal immigration authorities. They also highlight concerns about public safety, pointing to cases where a person involved in violent crimes was released instead of being handed over to proper authorities. Critics claim that sanctuary cities act as magnets for illegal immigration, attracting more people to enter unlawfully. They also argue that these cities place a strain on local resources, as persons which have illegally immigrated may access public services like healthcare, housing, and education. Some studies on the relationship between sanctuary status and crime have found that sanctuary policies either have no effect on crime or that sanctuary cities have lower crime rates and stronger economies than comparable non-sanctuary cities. In 2016, the Washington Post reported that in the US decades of research actually shows that immigrants, whether legal or illegal, tend to have lower crime rates. Similarly, a 2017 report by the Center for American Progress concluded that statistical analysis illustrates that across a range of social and economic indicators, sanctuary counties perform better than comparable non-sanctuary counties. A 2017 review of the research on sanctuary cities and crime in sociology Compass concluded that the few empirical studies that exist illustrate a null or negative relationship between these policies and crime. Sanctuary city policies substantially reduce deportations of illegal immigrants who do not have criminal records, but have no impact on those who have violent criminal records. Opponents of sanctuary cities argue that cities should assist the national government in enforcing immigration law. Supporters of sanctuary cities argue that enforcement of federal law is not the duty of localities, and that law enforcement resources can be prioritized towards better purposes. European cities have drawn inspiration from the sanctuary movement in American cities. However, the term sanctuary city in Europe generally refers to cities committed to supporting legal refugees and asylum seekers, not illegal immigration. Over 80 towns and cities across the United Kingdom adopt policies aimed at fostering community connections, raising awareness, and building cultural ties to support these groups. Glasgow and Swansea have become noted sanctuary cities. United States, edit. See also, illegal immigration to the United States. In the United States, municipal policies include prohibiting police or city employees from questioning people about their immigration status and refusing requests by national immigration authorities to detain people beyond their release date, if they were jailed for breaking local law. Such policies can be set expressly in law, de jure, or observed in practice, de facto, but the designation sanctuary city does not have a precise legal definition. History, edit. The movement that established sanctuary cities in the United States began in the early 1980s. The movement traces its roots to religious philosophy, as well as the histories of resistance movements to perceived state injustices. The sanctuary city movement took place in the 1980s to challenge the U.S. government's refusal to grant asylum to certain Central American refugees. These asylum seekers were arriving from countries in Central America like El Salvador and Guatemala that were politically unstable. More than 75,000 Salvadorians and 200,000 Guatemalans were killed in civil wars. Faith-based groups in the U.S. Southwest initially drove the movement of the 1980s, with 8 churches publicly declaring to be sanctuaries in March 1982. John Fife, a minister and movement leader, famously wrote in a letter to Attorney General William Smith, "The Southside United Presbyterian Church will publicly violate the Immigration and Nationality Act by allowing sanctuary in its church for those from Central America." A milestone in the U.S. sanctuary city movement occurred in 1985 in San Francisco, which passed the largely symbolic City of Refuge resolution. A 1985 city ordinance prohibited the use of city funds and resources to assist federal immigration enforcement, the defining characteristic of a sanctuary city in the U.S. As of 2018, more than 560 cities, states and counties considered themselves sanctuaries. Some have questioned the accuracy of the term sanctuary city as used in the U.S. Terminology, edit. Several different terms and phrases are used to describe immigrants who entered U.S. illegally. The term alien, primarily used between the 1970s and 2010s American news sources, is considered by many immigrant rights advocates to be derogatory and dehumanizing. According to the data analytics company LexisNexis, the usage of the term alien in reports on immigration has declined substantially, making up just 5% of terms used major news media in 2013. The U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, which President Joe Biden proposed to Congress, would eliminate the word alien from federal immigration laws and replace it with non-citizen. Usage of the word illegal and phrases using the word, for example, illegal alien, illegal immigrant, illegal worker and illegal migrant, has declined, accounting for 82% of language used in 1996, 75% in 2002, 60% in 2007, and 57% in 2013. Several other phrases are used. Undocumented immigrant. Usage in news reports increased from 6% in 1996 to 14% in 2013. Unauthorized immigrant. 3% usage in 2013 and rarely seen before that time. And undocumented person or undocumented people, 1% in 2007, increasing to 3% in 2013. In this context, undocumented generally does not refer to statelessness, but to illegal immigration status. Media outlets' policies as to use of terms differ, and no consensus has yet emerged in the press. In 2013, the Associated Press changed its AP stylebook to provide that except in direct quotes essential to the story, use illegal only to refer to an action, not a person, illegal immigration, but not illegal immigrant. Acceptable variations include living in or entering a country illegally or without legal permission. Within several weeks, major U.S. newspapers such as Chicago Tribune, the Los Angeles Times, and USA Today adopted similar guidance. The New York Times style guide states that the term illegal immigrant may be considered loaded or offensive and advises journalists to explain the specific circumstances of the person in question or to focus on actions: who crossed the border illegally, who overstayed a visa, who is not authorized to work in this country. The stylebook discourages the use of illegal as a noun and the alien. The stylebook notes that unauthorized and undocumented are acceptable, but the former has a flavor of euphemism and should be used with caution outside quotation, and the latter has a bureaucratic tone. The Washington Post stylebook says illegal immigrant is accurate and acceptable, but notes that some find it offensive. The Post does not refer to people as illegal aliens or illegals per its guidelines. Sanctuary restaurants are a related idea. It is a program run by Present.org and the Restaurant Opportunities Center. Electoral politics, edit. The issue entered presidential politics in the race for the 2008 Republican Party presidential nomination. Colorado Congressman Tom Tancredi ran on an anti-illegal immigration platform and specifically attacked sanctuary cities. Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney accused former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani of running it as a sanctuary city. Mayor Giuliani's campaign responded saying that Governor Romney ran a sanctuary governor's mansion, and that New York City is not a haven for illegal immigrants. In July 2015, 32-year-old Catherine Steiner was fatally shot by an illegal immigrant who had previously been deported 5 times. The shooting took place in San Francisco, a sanctuary city, sparking national debate over immigration and sanctuary city policies. Former Secretary of State and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton told CNN that the city made a mistake, not to deport someone that the federal government strongly felt should be deported. I have absolutely no support for a city that ignores the strong evidence that should be acted on. The following day, her campaign stated, Hillary Clinton believes that sanctuary cities can help further public safety, and she has defended those policies going back years. Trump administration, edit. On the 6th of March, 2018, the U.S. Department of Justice sued the state of California, the Governor Jerry Brown, and the state's Attorney General, Xavier Becerra, over 3 recently passed state laws, saying the laws made it impossible for federal immigration officials to do their jobs and deport criminals who were born outside the United States. The Justice Department called the laws unconstitutional and asked a judge to block them. The lawsuit said the state laws reflect a deliberate effort by California to obstruct the United States enforcement of federal immigration law. The Trump administration previously released a list of immigration principles to Congress. The list included funding a wall along the U.S. Mexico border, a crackdown on the influx of Central American minors, and curbs on federal grants to sanctuary cities. A pledge to strip all federal funding to sanctuary cities was a key Trump campaign theme. President Trump issued an executive order which declared that jurisdictions that refuse to comply with 8 U.S.C. 1373, a provision of federal law on information sharing between local and federal authorities, would be ineligible to receive federal grants. States and cities have shown varying responses to the executive order. 33 states introduced or enacted legislation requiring local law enforcement to cooperate with ICE officers and requests to hold non-citizen inmates for deportation. Other states and cities have responded by not cooperating with federal immigration efforts or by showcasing welcoming policies towards immigrants. California openly refused the administration's attempts to clamp down on sanctuary cities. A federal judge in San Francisco agreed with 2 California municipalities that a presidential attempt to cut them off from federal funding for not complying with deportation requests was unconstitutional, ultimately issuing a nationwide permanent injunction against the facial unconstitutional provisions of the order. On the 27th of March, 2018, the All-Republican Board of Supervisors in Orange County, California voted to join the Justice Department's lawsuit against the state. In Chicago, a federal judge ruled that the Trump administration may not withhold public safety grants to sanctuary cities. These decisions have been seen as a setback to the administration's efforts to force local jurisdictions to help federal authorities with the policing of illegal immigrants. On the 5th of July, 2018, a federal judge upheld 2 of California's sanctuary laws but struck down a key provision in the third. Local officials who oppose the president's policies say that complying with federal immigration